Yeah, we have a family plan that hangs on our refrigerator, and
which is awesome.
It starts with our credo, our tagline. So it is be a leader on purpose, with purpose, for a purpose. So
this is about control. Everybody knows, everyone complies. We're the kinds of pros. I don't need a plane. I just hit the road. I do what I want. I can't sell my soul. Market about to crash. This is what you chose. Ruining the country. I think that's the goal. You gon' take the mark. I take narrow roads. I'm a man of God. I can never fold.
Let's get this fucking show on the road. All right, here we go. Welcome to the Protect Your Purpose podcast, where we talk whiskey, business, friends, family, and freedom. I'm your host, Matt Marchese, and this is my co-host for the day, my lovely wife, Lindy.
Thank you. Hello.
Well, this is not Zach for the day. Welcome to the show, honey.
Thank you.
Why are you tearing up already?
I don't know. Because I'm nervous.
What are you nervous about?
I get nervous every time.
We haven't even started yet. Did we even press record? Well,
Introduce your next guest.
you're the sweetest. You're the sweetest person ever. Also, we have a very, very special guest today, Nissa Cohen. Welcome to the show, Nissa.
thank you for having me.
No, thank you for coming. I'm so excited to have you here. Before we get started on Nissa's story, let me tell you a little bit about Nissa. Nissa is a certified badass. Sorry, sorry for the harsh words, but it's the best way to describe Nissa. She is a fitness guru, a coach, a beast, a mentor, and a leader, as I know her. Those are my words. But Nissa is also a wife, a mother, a coach, an educator, an entrepreneur, a self-proclaimed, I believe, amateur homesteader.
Trying. Yeah.
I love that. We all are. Yeah, aren't we all that?
You guys dove a little bit more into the homesteading than we did in the last year. But
I would say we bought land, but that's as far as we've got as far as homesteading. Would you say?
I don't know. We'll
we
get
don't
into
have a
that.
garden yet. Yeah.
I guess we can do
There's a lot
a
of things.
comparison.
I guess.
I bet Nissa's more of a badass homesteader than we
For
are.
sure.
For sure. Anyway, also, Nissa is trying to change this world for the better because she has refused to allow the traditional schooling system to control her life and now the future of her children's life. Her husband, Eric, and Nissa are now opening a school called Apogee. Tell us about that.
yeah, so we are launching in the fall, September of this year, and we are affiliating with a program called Apogee Strong. It is a 12-month, started as a 12-month online mentorship program for young men, ages 12 to 18, and has spun into mentorship programs for men, dads, mom, women. And then this fall, we're going to simultaneously launch 50 campuses for young learners, young heroes.
Hold on a second. 50 campuses.
Yes. Ours is only one.
Yep.
Yeah.
So who's
Across the United States.
who's behind that initiative?
Yeah, so Apogee Strong was founded by Tim Kennedy, like certified badass.
Tim Kennedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Real life Captain America.
Yep.
So, people know who he is. Do I need to tell more?
Tell more.
Okay. So he is a Green Beret sniper, MMA fighter, has fought in UFC championship fights, but also just like a true defender of freedom and the Constitution. And
You know I love the Constitution. You know you're speaking my love language.
No, that's like his gift is like his go-to gift is giving out pocket constitutions.
Amen.
Love that.
I love that.
But he's just a really, really good, genuine guy. Good father, good husband, great family man. He wanted to start a school, and another guy, Matt Boudreau, said, I know how to do that. I'll help you out. And so Matt Boudreau has a background in, he was a public school educator and administrator, private school educator and administrator, worked at Stanford in the controller's office, so has seen like conveyor belt schooling, as we kind of call it, from all angles. And as he was going through that, he was like, man, I can't change this system from inside. And so I'm going to build the school that I want my kids to go to. And in that, he originally started in the Acton network of schools. He launched the 3 largest Acton academies, I believe, in the network in Northern California. He's since gifted those to his employees, and
he gifted the Acton academies?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
To the employees of the school. And him and Tim started the Apogee network. And so they launched Apogee Cedar Park, which is Tim's school in Cedar Park, Texas, outside Austin. And along with that, launched the mentorship programs. And here we are.
So a couple things. We are, as you know, but for our audience, we are extremely interested in this, especially right now, because we are personally going through this. And this, I mean, changing in the way we do our children's schooling, thereby changing our entire thought on schooling. Not much, not as much as you know, a normal person who has a child in public school. We've considered this. We talked about Apogee years ago. We considered actually getting into that system. Didn't work out. Acton. Yeah. That's what I meant. Sorry. But I am so personally interested, but I want to get your take on, you said conveyor belt schooling. What is conveyor belt schooling? I think I know the answer, but explain.
Yeah. First and foremost, schooling and education are not the same thing. Okay.
Go on.
Tell me more.
Go on.
Schooling makes you better at school.
And I've never been good at school.
Nobody
ever schooled me enough to make me good at school.
There's a starting to school. There's a end point to school. You graduate, you're done with school, right?
Yep.
Education never ends. It's a lifelong pursuit. And if it's not a lifelong pursuit, then you're not a person that I want to be hanging around with.
Amen.
So conveyor belt schooling is kind of like what you think about for school nowadays. Public school, private schools are basically taking public school and having you pay for it. But basically, you know, the teacher at the front of the room has all of the right answers. They are the authority in the room. You need to take their things that they're telling you, memorize them, and your success is determined on whether or not how well you can memorize those and regurgitate them to a test.
Memorization.
Yeah. You're expected to come in, sit down, be quiet, raise your hand if you want to talk, ask to use the bathroom, bell rings. Doesn't matter where you're at and what you're working on, how involved and interested you are in it, you're expected to close it up, move on. We're going to go to a different classroom, completely switch topics. It just doesn't correlate with anything in the real world. Like,
no.
When have you, in your working life, I mean, you were in the military, so you probably did some of that then.
We got a lot of schooling,
right? There was a lot of schooling in the military. But, you know.
Yeah. The military did it. So real quick on that. The military did it. One of the things that I do appreciate most about military schooling is they don't do that stuff. It's almost the opposite. Like, you know, drinking from a fire hose information, a lot of memorization, that's true. Mm-hmm. But in military schooling, they believe, I think, just as like an overarching principle of their education systems, of not breaking in and out of things. Like, hey, you're going to go to a school. It's going to be 24 weeks long, and you're going to be 8 to 5, and it's going to be high intensity, nonstop. And when you get off, you're going to have homework that you're going to have to do for a few hours that you're going to do in group learning with other people. And you're going to put 12, 14 hours a day for 23 straight weeks with no breaks on it. But at least in that format, you can stay engaged for long periods of time instead of breaking and disengaging and re-engaging, which even on the podcast, like Grady and I, my wife, we have decided to do batch recordings because going in and out of a mindset is, we're 3 adults and only one of us has severe ADHD, as they would call it. But it's very challenging even for adults to break and then reconnect and break and reconnect or re-engage. So to ask my children to do that, who are like all of the bad things about me, including all of the good things I think about me, and some of the really great things about Lindy, but one of those things is their attention span. It's impossible. And then I look at them like, well, I can't even do that. And I'm 41 years old.
Right.
How can I expect this younger, immature version of me to be able to do something that I actually cannot do? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we battle that. Is in the Apogee Strong system?
Network. Yeah.
I don't like the word system.
Yeah. F that word.
Yeah.
We don't like that word system. So the network, how are they solving that problem, or how do you intend to solve that problem?
Yeah. So one, we want our education centers to be a microcosm of real life. You know, what are the meta skills that you need to have to be good at life and just be winning? So things like, we know that you need to be physically healthy, physically strong. So we're going to put an emphasis on that. You need to be able to work collaboratively with people and work as a team and figure out how to solve problems. You need to be able to creatively solve problems, you know, and in order to do that, you've got to be able to think critically. You've got to be able to think about your thinking, and then you've got to be able to eloquently put out what your thoughts are.
Mm-hmm. Communication.
Yeah.
Huge.
So,
Which is another thing kids cannot do.
right.
Kids nowadays have the most even mine. We've got two relatively, very much so, Lindy, relatively extroverted people that are constantly surrounded by people. My kids are constantly surrounded by people, but between the devices and the sitting in a classroom and listen, raise your hand, don't talk until it's time for you to talk for this much time. My kids have an issue with interactions with adults and being able to, you know, communicate their thoughts. Whereas we have a 5-year-old, Cora, who has no problem doing that. She can discuss her feelings. She can tell exactly what she wants to execute. She finds the word, eye contact. And I've got these 2 middle school kids, boys, who cannot do it. And that's one of the things that we're looking forward. And I tell them every day, this is one of the reasons why you're coming home with me. Why? Mm-hmm. So when I'm with you, I could say, stand up tall, sit up straight, say hello, make eye contact, shake hands, explain what you're trying to do. Our school systems are clearly failing at that.
Yeah.
But it's not really their job, is it?
Man, I think a lot of people think it is. You know, I think there's a lot of people out there that are more than content to kind of outsource the raising and the education of their children. And that's not something I'm willing to do. I believe that, you know, even if you are thinking that that's what, you know, you want to do that, it's still not the case. Like, parents will forever be the primary educator of their children, like from birth until
death.
Whoever dies first, you know?
Right.
Hopefully it's me that dies first before my child.
Yeah.
But you will always be the primary educator of your child. And they're going to do what you do long before they do what you say. And when you're in that school setting, it's very much that conveyor belt school setting. It's very much do as I say.
Yeah.
You know?
Of course.
You don't get any say so. You can't ask why. Just do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And teaching them how to memorize, teaching them what to learn, not how to learn,
mm-hmm.
which is a problem.
Yes. Yeah. So kind of we say in the Apogee network, we give them the test and they have to figure out how they're going to pass the test. You know, like you might say, okay, you guys are going to build this city. Part of it needs to be 3D printed. Part of it needs to be hammer and nails. Part of it needs to be cardboard, whatever you come up with. But you've got to run electricity through the city. And then at the end of the session, we're going to have an exhibition, and your family's going to be there, and we are going to. There's a bug.
Studio flies.
We're going to flip the switch on, and we'll see if the lights turn on. You know, kind of we do a fire, aim, ready instead of
I love
aim,
that.
fire.
Let's
like,
go. Listen,
just-
I have built. Go ahead.
Is it like, I know it's not grades,
mm-hmm.
but is it all the way up till graduation?
Essentially,
Yours?
yeah. So we're going to start with ages 5 to 11.
Okay.
And they'll be in mixed age studios. So it won't be, that's another thing. Like in real life, when's the last time, how old are you?
Nissa, that's very inappropriate. 41.
I'm 40. I'll be 41 soon.
41. Let's go.
Yeah. When's the last time you were divided specifically by your manufacture date? The year you were born.
Right.
We're going to put you all in the same room together.
High school.
And you guys got to figure that out.
Yep.
Right?
Public school.
Public school.
For sure.
So instead, we've got mixed age classrooms that are based on like brain development. So as our brains develop, we kind of have a major brain development leap that happens at age 4, 5-ish. Then we have another one at around age 8. And then there's another one at around age 12. And there's another one at around age 16. And then we kind of say, what do they say? The brain is fully developed at 22 or so,
Yep.
you know? So our mixed age studios are based on those developmental stages.
The leaps.
The leaps.
The leaps.
So,
Leaps.
you know, like the 5 to 8-year-old, it's a huge focus on not the things they're learning in kindergarten. Like, yeah, if you're interested in phonics and sight words and stuff like that,
Yeah.
awesome. We'll provide those opportunities to you, but there's no requirement. Can you count to 100 by the time you are 5? Because if you can't count to 100 by the time you're 5, you're going to be able to by the time you're 8. Like,
Right.
It'll happen.
Right.
Right.
And that's okay.
And that's okay.
Because you don't need to count to 100.
Well, you do. I mean, you need
Not
to
when
have
you're
some-
5.
Not when you're 5. Right.
There's nobody who's ever going to be like, count to 100 or it's over.
There's no
Right.
reason.
I know.
Like they
There's
don't
no
know.
reason.
No.
Right.
Right.
But like right around that 7, 8 age where that next leap happens, that's where kids start being interested in how things happen, you know, counting, basic addition, your reading, stuff like that. But before that, they're not interested in that.
Right.
And during that time, it's time to focus on social skills, manners. Can you, taking care of your environment, and, they're going to be responsible for maintaining their studio and cleaning up and using manners and asking questions and making eye contact with people regardless of what age they are, and, learning how to start being a good human.
Right.
Let me ask you a question. No doubt in my mind, because I have, again, as you know, I've been down this rabbit hole for several years, but I wasn't blind to it, but I also was willing, pre-COVID, I was willing to sacrifice all of the things that I was sacrificing, some of those things we just discussed, to allow my kids the public school experience as far as socially. It's what I went through. It's what my wife went through. My brother went to Catholic school for a short period of time. They asked him to leave that institution. But we all went through public school systems, turned out okay. And some of our greatest and fondest memories are our friends through those. So until recently, I was willing to make those sacrifices. It's gotten out of hand. I have my own opinions. We can dabble in them later if you care to listen. But what really has struck a chord with me is the fact that I've sort of internalized almost with guilt that I have outsourced my parenting for my children. And I knowingly did it. Mm-hmm. I knowingly did it. Since 2020, I have been making a conscious decision to outsource my parenting. I'm fed up with it now. We've made the decision that, hey, it's just time. Whether it's, maybe it wasn't the right time then, maybe it was. I think my kids are in these little developmental crisis right now where they don't know what is cool and they're just awkward and goofy. And I think they need their dad more than ever, and their mom. But specifically, they need a young man needs his dad as a mentor and a role model to show him. And I just don't get enough time with him.
Yes.
But we've thought about alternative schools and different kind of schooling. No doubt that is better than what they are currently in. But aren't I still outsourcing? If I were to send my kids to your school, aren't I still outsourcing my parenting just to a more capable parent?
That is a great question.
That is a great question.
We are like, I want to make it clear that Apogee Omaha is not a school. It's a family education center. There is a focus on development of the entire family. So just kind of as an aside, part of tuition at Apogee Omaha is parents get access to the mom and dad mentorship group. So they get the opportunity to learn and grow. But it's also a community. Like, part of what drew me so much to this network is because of my background as a CrossFit affiliate owner. And a CrossFit gym is like, we call it a gym, but it's like no other gym you've ever been to.
Correct.
Like, it's
Agreed.
not like a Globo gym, big box gym, right?
Right.
And what makes it different is the community. And so this school that I'm building the type of educational community that I want for my son and for my family, just like I built the type of fitness community that I want for my family. And so it's going to be expected that the parents are engaged in what is happening with their children's education. It's a shorter school day. There's not homework because we want the kids to be engaging with their parents when they're home.
There's not homework.
We want to develop good humans,
That's the goal.
Yes.
Right?
Like,
All I want to do is have
That's all I
a
want.
good human,
Yes.
adult. That's it.
yes. Yep. And so, this is an alternative option for people who both parents do have to work outside of the home. I will say, I think, like, I'm a huge proponent of home education. Some people just can't make it work for whatever reason, and we're a good option for that. But we're also, you talked about kind of the social thing that you're concerned with.
Yeah.
If you take the kids out of conveyor belt schools, like, this provides, I guess, a little bit more of that. Our son Cam is an only child. He's clearly socially fine as an only
Yes.
child. Like, he
Doing
grew
all
up
right.
in our gym. He'll go up to adults and have conversations with them.
Yes.
He will start conversations with adults, but I do want him to have regular interaction with
Of course.
kids of all ages, and so the idea of him being again in a room, I still think of, I'm going to go on a little squirrel here. I think about you guys. You told me the story about when Cora went from being with a nanny to going to a daycare center where she was in a room with everybody else was her age, and like, you watched her language skills regress.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Because she was like coming down to the level
Yep.
of the kids, because that's who she was talking to all day.
Yep.
So I want him to be around kids, but also kind of have like a little sibling mentor, mentor relationship with some younger kids.
Of course.
Yes, Eric and I are the most important mentors for him.
Right.
But, I want him to have some leaders showing him the way as he's growing up. So.
To that point, there was and you'll remember this, honey, obviously, there was a point where they made some, regarding Cora's daycare, they made some changes where they were going to move a couple of kids. I think it was just a numbers game. Like, okay, we got to fill this class and we've got vacancies over here. So the next ones are moving up. And it was right around that time that we had talked about that, where we were concerned about that. And Cora was not amongst the ones that got selected to move up into the next class. And it was quick. Lindy and I at separate times had the conversation just kind of in passing, and came home and I was like, hey, what do you think about that? We were like, oh no. So the very next day we went back and said, hey, is there a possibility? And the answer was, she was either A, going into the bigger class where the kids can talk, or she was leaving that school that day. And Lindy was like, are you serious? I'm like, they're either going to move her or I'm taking her. It's over. Because I was that concerned about the regression and her development with just all things, speech, behavior, her ability to communicate had declined. There was also a point where I'm like, does she really need to be able to? Does she have to speak like an adult? She's been speaking like an adult since she was 2 years old.
Right.
Do I need this, or is this a me thing, or can I let my daughter be a child? But they immediately at school, and then it's a wonderful daycare or, preschool, whatever they call themselves. The staff there are really wonderful. They're great. And they were like, oh, Cora, without question, we can move her up. The only reason they didn't consider her was just her age or whatever. And since then, she's been with the older kids. And not much older. They're now probably all her age. But she's done a lot better. But it's incredible, to your point, what an environment will do. We saw that decline, and then we almost immediately saw it pick back up when put in a different group of people. So I wonder if that concept, obviously that's a concept that you believe in.
Yes, for
and
sure.
we saw it firsthand.
You're a product of the 6 people you hang around with most?
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Trying to get rid of these scrubs too, because I'm ready for a level up. That's why you're here. And you are amongst I've known you for a few years now through your amazing CrossFit gym. And to your point, I think you're going to do great at this because we tell this story all the time. Every time we talk about your gym, we say, and maybe I haven't even told you this, the only reason why we didn't want to go to that gym was because of the people. Because I was like, whoa,
Colty.
I'm not trying to get involved in that community. That seems overwhelming.
I went one time when I lived in Sioux City. I was here in Omaha for work, and I went with Nicole, just dropped in, and then I saw those other people at the golf tournament, at McKenna Rose's golf tournament.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, nope, this is not for me. They're all like buff and they're all flexing on each other. But now I'm like, I would never go to a different gym.
Now the only reason why we go is for the people.
Yes.
So you've done a great job.
Absolutely.
Building an awesome, strong, mentally
strong
and physically community. Yeah.
But they're all super strong.
Yeah.
Like everyone, mentally, physically. It's so awesome.
If you can bring that concept to children, that's going to be huge.
that's what we're going for.
You think you're going to be able to do that? Obviously
Yeah.
you do. You wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
We tell our kids all the time. They're
That's
like,
cool.
We're going to build some resiliency in some kids. And, going back to you're saying, aren't you just kind of sourcing
Parenting.
Parenting?
Yeah.
One thing that I wanted to cover is that the Apogee Strong program, we have a code that we live by. There's 7 parts of the code. It's basically like a Bushido code, honor, integrity, bravery, respect, politeness. Oh man, now I'm on the spot.
No, if you think of it, come back.
But every family that chooses to have their young learners be a part of Apogee Omaha is going to be required to sign that code and say that, we're going to live out this code at home.
The family members.
Too.
It's the only way you can do that.
Yeah, it's got to be consistent at home versus at school, education. Like there's got to be consistency there, or else the kids are like, what am I supposed to do?
Exactly. I go here to do this, and then I come home, and it's not like that.
Mm-hmm.
Run me through the ages again.
So we're starting age 5. The developmental leap happens at 4-ish, but I don't want the Department of Health and Human Services to have to be there.
Sure.
So we're going school age, 5 to 8-ish, 7 to 8, and then 8 to 11-ish. And then after year 1, we plan to add that next one. So 12 to 13 or 11, 12 to, what would it be, 15-ish. And then we'll go like 15 to 18, 16 to 18.
What's the timeline? Is there a timeline for the rollout of these across the country or Omaha specifically? Either answer I'm looking for.
That is my plan in Omaha.
This is the Omaha plan.
I believe, yeah. So that's another thing, that drew me to the affiliate model. It's an affiliate model to be affiliated with Apogee Strong. Just like CrossFit is an affiliate model. So we're our own LLC. We chose to incorporate as an LLC. You could be a 501c3. We could switch to a 501c3 down the road if that's what we want to do. But we get the freedom to run our campus like we want. So some campuses are starting just 5 to 7. Some campuses are going 5 to 11. Some campuses are adding that third one. I don't think anybody's adding the high school one yet. Reason being, we're not starting with that first year, even with the middle school, because if kids have been in a traditional school setting for that long, and then you're like, okay, now you're in control of your own education and you have to be self-directed and self-guided, It's got to be
Meltdown.
it's got to be the right kids that come in. So there have been a couple families that have 12-year-olds that are like, man, we'd really like to be involved. But you say you're only going to 11, and those they would have to be the right family. And then, there's like 3 families that are in that situation. Those 12-year-olds have been homeschooled. So they're used to
independent learning,
self-directing their education.
What do you think about a 12 and a 13-year-old highly holy shiza,
They
Nissa.
would be like your brother and be asked to leave.
They're kindly. Listen, I think it's a perfect time for us to have you on as a guest, just to talk about where we're at, because it's so relevant, and I'm certain there are so many people that are in our exact position, at least with their children and their thoughts and their beliefs, and feel trapped. I think we're lucky enough.
By working, you mean?
Yeah.
Not being able to, yeah.
Yeah, we're lucky enough to where, I make my own schedule aside from all the days that I don't make my own schedule, which is every day. But I can control it to a degree. I don't have to answer to anyone other than like clients and employees and team members and all the other people. And Lindy is on the brink, of retirement. I think we're lucky in that sense that we can figure that out. But as we look at it, we're going, no, we could have figured it out all along.
Yeah.
We could have done it. We see people that aren't as, quote, lucky as we are, that figured it right the heck out and got their stuff together. And that's what I kind of alluded to earlier, which I knowingly did this and regretfully did this almost. But what do you really think about?
You're doing it now, so.
Yeah, we're doing it now, but now I have that exact situation that you just talked about. A 13, a kid who is 14 years old going into high school who has never experienced this type of learning. And is the bottom going to fall out for him? Am I now setting him up for failure with this change in environment and the way of learning?
No.
Okay, why not? Thank you. Never mind.
Yeah.
Thank you. Nissa, thanks for joining us. I appreciate I got all. What about a 13-year-old?
I don't know.
8th grader.
What if we got him into the Apogee Young Men's program and he showed initiative in the challenges and projects that
What does
are
that look
there?
like?
Do we get to come back to the other question? Because I want to do that one.
Yeah, sure.
Which one are we going to do first?
Your choice. You
Okay.
lead us.
So your kids have interests, right?
Very much so.
Yeah. Give me, what's an interest that they have?
We'll talk about cash. Basketball.
Cash likes basketball.
Yep.
Okay.
Very, very much. So.
What about any other
Kaysen.
passage?
Kaysen loves fishing.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome.
Kaysen loves being outdoors. Cash likes friends, socializing.
Yes.
Okay. Do either of those require algebra?
No.
Cool. Does balancing a checkbook require algebra?
No.
No. Adding and subtracting, they pretty much got that on lock, right?
They're in.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, what if you could not spend as much time on algebra and instead spend that time on Kaysen developing his skills as a fisherman and starting a fishing guide business, and Kaysen or Cash, what's something he can do with
Starting
those passions?
a basketball camp.
A basketball camp for young kids, or bringing real life application to the things that they should be learning, because you guys are entrepreneurs.
Yep.
You have multiple businesses, right? Did you come out of school feeling like you knew how to start and run a business?
No. We
Yeah.
did the opposit. What did you say? The
Same.
Fire aim ready.
Yep.
That's how I do all of my things in life. That's how I do that's how I do my marriage. That's how I do my kids. That's how I do my business. I know nothing. I just told my mother the other day, I'm really nervous about pulling my kids out of. She's like, why? My mom never homeschooled a day in her life. And I said, because I just don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Or what we're going to do. We've always heard it only requires 2 hours a day. And I'm like, what are we going to do the rest of the day?
You know what my mom said? You haven't known what the hell you were doing in anything you've ever done. You'll just figure it out, Matthew. You're going to be fine.
Yeah, you're going to take them and teach them how to be successful and good humans. You're going to bring them along to business meetings.
I got that.
You're going to, you know what I mean? Like, that's what you're going to do, and that's the education, because that's what they're going to use when they're adults.
Mm-hmm.
Think about the type of person you want your children to be when they are adults.
Yeah.
Get busy being that person and bring them along for the ride. That's their education.
What about history tests?
You don't need to
Do you need to regurgitate? Is it more important to regurgitate what happened on this date in this year? Or is it more important to have discussions around why did this happen? Why did the Bostonians throw tea into the harbor?
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean? How does that relate to our lives today?
Where do they get that education from?
You and me at our school.
And me.
And me at Apogee. No, so every day at Apogee Omaha, and all of the Apogee campuses, we have Socratic discussions, which are just tools for learning how to think critically, how to think about your thinking. And they're different based on, again, the developmental ages that those little crazy sponges of brains are at, but it forces them to think.
Yeah, which is a generational problem right now. We have an entire generation of kids that don't know how to think.
Don't know how to think and don't know how to speak.
And don't know how to speak, right?
Socratic discussions are building that, So
Huge.
we're gonna give them two sides to a story. You got to pick A or B. The answer's probably somewhere in the middle, but you have to pick A or B, and you have to defend why.
Defend it.
And it teaches them to think about how they're thinking. Teaches them how to convey their thoughts out loud, and it teaches them that it's okay to disagree with somebody and still be friends when the discussion is over.
Honey, I say this all the time. Why did you do that? I don't know. And I tell my kids,
I don't know.
no, the boys. I'm not allowed. No, I don't. Why did you do that? No, you would tell me to F off. And then I'd be like, why? No, my kids, they do the I don't know, the easy out. And I force them. I'm like, well, you can say I don't know. You've now said it 3 times.
Or you can sit there and do push-ups until you figure
yeah. I don't know is not going to be a sufficient answer ever. So you can do push-ups, or you're welcome to go strap on your shoes and go run the driveway for a mile until you figure out another answer. But that's the exact concept is, no, I just want you to talk. Mm-hmm. Take a position and be able to explain it and defend it, because they don't have it.
Is that the
14 years old. My kids. Children of a parent like me cannot talk. Mm-hmm. And I'm going, all I do is talk to them. And it's mind blowing. And I did it. I did this to them. I send them to school for 10 hours a day where they sit and listen. They're not allowed to talk.
And then they come home and do homework.
Yep. And in the morning before we got to rush to get out of the house. We got to rush to get out of the door. Get your shoes. Get your book. Did you forget your trapper? Do you have your iPad? Is it charged? Where's your backpack?
Let's go.
Boom,
We're late.
boom.
Let's go.
Out the door. And then they come home and you're behind on your AR. You have to do this. It's nonstop.
Constant.
It's brutal and it's sad.
Mm-hmm.
It's awful. It's depressing when you think about when I think about what I've put my kids through for the last 4 years, honey.
Yeah.
It's sad. Like, we feel like failures as parents.
But all you can do is move forward and fix it.
That's it.
Which is what you're doing.
That's it. We're going to fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think what you're doing, not only in your gym and in your life and in your community there, changing lives, which I don't have to tell you that. You see transformations daily, which is incredible. But I think what you're doing is going to be huge.
I hope so.
Yeah. I wish I had the capacity. Years ago, we talked about this. If I had the capacity, children's education was just something I wasn't willing to do that same fire, ready, aim thing. And it sounds like you're willing.
Fire, aim, ready.
It sounds like you put a whole.
I'm doing it.
Yeah, you're doing it, which is great. I was just like, shit, I can't just start a school. I have to take children's education seriously. And I have to know what I'm doing if these parents are going to give me their kids to, educate and teach.
What's so great, though, is taking, leveraging the technology that we do have now.
Yeah.
So the core skills will be like what you're talking about, where parents are, that you're homeschoolers that you're talking to. They're like, yeah, it's just an hour and a half, 2 hours a day. Like leveraging that technology on our campuses is what we're going to do. So they'll have their core skills block, which is reading, writing, arithmetic, hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on their age, using app-based, AI-based platforms. So
AI.
One, they're not held down to the lowest common denominator in their classroom. They're able to move at the speed that they want, and they're also able to figure out which avenues they're drawn to.
Yep.
So you really like learning math via synthesis. Awesome. Let's use synthesis for you. You really enjoy learning math on Khan. Awesome. You can use Khan. But what is going to keep you interested and engaged in learning and wanting to keep being curious and learning versus like you need to be learning this right now at the same rate that everybody else is, and we're going to force it in you. And if you can't keep up, you're a failure. And then kids just lose their
reading this book
their
right
passion for learning. Like they lose their curiosity.
And it starts in kindergarten because they get set aside. If they don't, especially boys, they get set aside into the group that isn't, up to par on their numbers and letters, I'm sure. But, and then from that point in kindergarten, they hate school and they feel like failure. And then from then on, they go to sometimes special ed because they're just behind, because the public schools expects everyone to be on the same exact page with 6 million kids across the country all in one. I mean, there's obviously like it's crazy.
I just talked to Brooke about this. Was it last night? Last night. The school, I have 2 boys. Okay. I look at Cash and Kaysen, and I look at Kaysen and I'm like, he is a troublemaker, but he is the one, the go-to, if I need something done, if I need someone protected, if I need something figured out, he's the younger one. If I need a problem solved, if I need to go do a chore quick or to get something done, he's my guy.
He's a cleaner.
And the school says he's special ed. And I'm like, wait a second. The kid that I think is going to be the successful one is the one that you think belongs in the special ed class?
That was just like you when you were this age. Troublemaker.
I give my kids an assignment to call and make a dinner reservation.
Yes.
Cash, my older one, gets on the phone. He's like, do you have, and he's looking at a parent for, like, what do I say? And then he hangs up the phone, and Kaysen's, my younger one, the special ed one, says, what was that? Like, why did you just lose your mind? You couldn't do that? And he's just like, you could do much better. Kaysen gets on the phone, calls a different restaurant. Hi, do you have any tables available for 6? Good. 7:30 good? Okay, we'd like to make a reservation for 6 at 7:30. Okay, thank you. See you then. Have a great day. Click. And I'm like, Cash, you just got punked by your special ed little brother. It's just incredible how the school systems, another reason why I'm like, what am I doing to my kid? He is now fully convinced that he is autistic. And I'm like, no, son. They say you have an attention deficit, not autism. Okay. We got 2 different things here. But my son is totally convinced that he is just behind the curve and totally incapable at this point in his life.
Street smart is what we call that, and not book smart.
But what gets you further in life?
Exactly. Exactly.
Right. I can tell you.
It's one of the reasons we're.
But I do want to make sure it's clear though, like we're kind of I don't know, attacking the conveyor belt system of schooling, right? The system.
I'm attacking the conveyor belt system. Yes.
But I want to make sure, because a lot of people, a lot of times people will get attached like a personal feeling to that, and they're like, but I'm a great teacher. I'm in it for the right reasons.
Sure.
Yes, you are.
I believe
Absolutely.
that.
There are fantastic people within the system, but they are held to the system. We have to perform on these tests. If we don't perform on these tests, we don't get our funding. And so you need to adjust how you are trying to educate in your classroom, even if it's not the way that you envisioned yourself doing it when you got into education.
Right.
There are fantastic educators out there, and we need them in the system too, because the fact of the matter is the best humans that some kids will have an opportunity to be around are the teachers that they have at school.
Absolutely. I could not agree more with that.
And our kids, teachers and educators are a part of the reason why they're wonderful. They're great people. They're great hearted. They love our kids. They take all the time they need to get them through whatever bullshit system they have to get them through. Even if it's on their own time and their own dime, they truly are, I don't know, heroic in some aspects to be able to deal with my kids. They deserve medals, if nothing else, like in treats and, vacations and stuff. But
so you're bringing them along?
yeah, they're coming. Yeah, they're coming. No, that's part of the reason. And I'm not knocking the educators, but rather the education system. Yeah,
I agree.
The people are wonderful, and I would encourage them all to get out as fast as they can. Leave.
Yes.
They should just leave our public school system.
Yes.
Understaffed. Yep, gone. And don't care anymore. Those kids and their kids, those kids' parents will find alternatives, and let that system collapse right beneath itself. And then it will drive everyone out to the Apogee Strong.
Here we go. We're building a new one.
Yeah, here we go. You'll have a couple of them. No, I think that is necessary. I mean, education reform at the highest level, unfortunately, it just won't happen.
No.
There's no way it's going to come from the highest level. It's got to come from us. We have to leave the system.
Yeah. Their education reform is not possible at this point. It's got to be a rebuilding.
Yeah.
So
It's going to be capitalists and entrepreneurs like yourself who are going to do it.
Who are giving way more options than there ever was 3 years ago, or 4 years ago, or at least, I didn't know that Acton existed. I didn't know, co-ops and all these other, did you go to a public school?
I did.
You did?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. K through
Makes
12.
sense.
Educated.
Do you have a
Went
college
to a public
degree?
Yep. Bachelor's and master's degree from public education.
Wow.
Public institution.
And you did just fine, Nissa, so why can't Cam do that?
Can I say the F word?
Yeah, of course. I do all the time.
Fuck fine.
Right.
A lot of people say that. They're like, I went to public school and I turned out just fine. I'm like, fine.
Says who?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want fine for Cam.
Yeah.
I came out of my master's level education and went, okay, I have a master's degree. I'm making $32,000 a year as an athletic trainer at a small college. I'm the first one to get there. I'm the last one to leave. Nobody wants to be coming to see me. Like, they have to because they're hurt. That's not what I want anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it anymore. Even before working for a college, so right out of grad school, I worked for a hospital and was contracted out to a high school. And that hospital, for bottom line numbers, switched every single employee in the hospital to an hourly employee, except the athletic trainers. Because if they had to pay us hourly
No way.
for the amount of hours that we put in, no way. So we were the only employees making salary. And so when Eric and I made the decision to move to Omaha, where his family is, I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. And so jumped head first into a 100% commission job as a personal trainer.
Let's go. That's how you do it.
Now I'm an entrepreneur.
Sink or swim.
I'm like,
Yeah.
fire, aim, ready.
Commission only salespeople, entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
If you can succeed there, you can succeed in entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And if you're too afraid to do that, I would be deathly afraid of entrepreneurship because it's that on steroids. Like, they're like, you don't understand. I'm commission only. I don't understand. You're commission only. I'm a business owner. I am profit only, commission only. 100% of my income for 12 straight years has been commission only. We just call it profit when you're the business owner. I'm so pumped about this. So I want to talk about a couple things fitness wise.
I have one more question before.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I will grant you as
I know
many
you're
questions as you'd
transitioning.
like. Nope, that's fine.
I'm just genuinely curious because I could look it up on the website too, but what are the hours that a child goes there? Is it optional? Like, can you go for 8 hours? Do you only go for 3 or 2 or?
You jumped the gun on my question. I'm
Ooh,
just kidding.
Oh.
No,
I
it's fine.
saw his notes over here.
Yep. Typical day. We're going to get there. But you know what? If you want to just incorporate fitness into that question and run us through how fitness will play a role in your typical day at your learning center.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know what a typical day looks like, I think, which will get you the answer to your question.
Yep.
And how you're going to incorporate what I know as your specialty.
Yeah. So typical day, I'll go, let's start year view.
Okay.
Right. So we're going to start after Labor Day, first Tuesday after Labor Day. And
Love
we'll go
that.
through the end of June. So like start a month later, end a month later. The year will be broken up into 7 sessions. And each session will be 5 to 6 weeks long. There's a short one in there, like between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And each session is divided by a 1 or 2 week break. So you kind of talked about you're going to batch record podcasts.
Yep.
Right? I've been reading about these startups that are like Element, the drink, electrolyte drink.
Yep.
They will pick a project they're going to work on. They're going to charge hard at it for 6 to 8 weeks.
Yep.
And then everybody in the company takes a week or 2 off.
Yeah, sprints,
Yep.
I've heard them referred to.
Yeah. So similar idea here. Each session will have a different theme. And that's kind of like the project that they're working on for that theme or for that session. And so
Brilliant.
I can run through the session. So first session of the year is building the team. So we're going to have all these kids come together that potentially may not know each other. So getting to know each other. It's going to be based around, like, they're going to create a Renaissance fair. So they're learning Renaissance history there. But they get to pitch to all of the other campuses what they want the mascot of Apogee schools going forward to be.
Oh, cool.
And then the network of campuses gets to vote and decide what.
And that will
is
be
gonna
it.
be. Yep.
The kids are going to decide. This is
kids are
early
gonna-
enough
yeah.
for these kids to
Oh,
decide.
I
Yep.
love that.
Kids are
That's
deciding
cool.
it. Session 2 is that being the CEO of your life. So how do you take responsibility and ownership over your life? What's the importance of setting goals? How do you set goals? What is the idea of being like outcome focused versus process focused? And how do you set process goals to get to the outcome that you want? It's also...
This is my love language.
I know.
Then the next one after that is the short session, so health equals wealth, so, covering physiology, nutrition, how to build healthy meals, why it's important to be strong, how you can, not eliminate anxiety, but like control anxiety and stuff like that through breath work and that type of stuff. Session 4 is speech, debate, and logic. So how to have a civil discourse. And that one's actually going to be focused on civil, like the project is based around diving into civil disobedience. Like, when is it okay to
Let's go.
to have some civil disobedience, and why is that important? And then, yes, we're having daily Socratic discussions, but like really diving into logical fallacies and how to argue effectively and argue for your point, but then also like steel man your argument. So making you flip and argue for the other side,
Let's go.
so that you can understand it. After that, self-reliance and responsibility. So like survival skills, that type of stuff. And then after that is Shark Tank business pitch, which, hey, maybe we can have you guys. So the kids are gonna pitch fake businesses to real business owners
Let's go.
for funding,
Cool.
right? So, and then the entrepreneurs, the business owners can give feedback like, hey, have you considered this? How are you going to do this? Giving them real life feedback. And then the 7th session, last one of the year, is building their business. So they're going to actually build out a business. Younger ages, it might be a lemonade stand. It might be making bracelets, that type of stuff, but they're still starting to learn. Their P&L sheet's going to be super basic, but like where are you getting the funding? Are you taking a loan from mom and dad to get the materials for what you're doing? What do you need to price it at to be able to make sure that you're making money you can pay your loan back? What are you going to do with the profits then? Stuff like that. So
I want in.
I was going to say,
what's
Cora,
going on.
Let me in.
I just registered Cora for kindergarten. And I'm having second thoughts.
Yeah. We need a bus. Do you have a bus for your school?
That comes out to...
No. We might be. Yeah? We can arrange something?
And maybe you just like drop her off and then come work out. If they're right next door. Wouldn't that be cool?
Oh, my God.
They might be right
We're
next
bringing the kids back to Gretna.
We have not secured the location, but it might end up being right next to the gym. So
Oh, really?
that's not our number one choice, but we're working on it.
When do you need to have that done by?
September.
Soon.
I mean, when do I need to have it finalized? As soon as possible.
Yeah, now.
Yeah.
It's go time.
Yeah, because we're kind of talking with a church in the area, and if that doesn't work out, then we're going to have to find a commercial retail flex space and do a build out and stuff like that. So
How many students,
Good
or
question.
is it, you're not even calling them students, what are you calling them?
heroes,
Heroes.
young leaders.
Is that what all of the alternate option schools kind of go to as heroes on a hero's journey?
I mean, that everybody in life should be on a hero's journey. So I
Right.
feel like a lot of these kind of alternative micro schools where it's like learner led or learner centered learning, we're kind of trying to show them that hero's journey where life is difficult and you've got to go through struggles
Amen.
and learn from them and come out the other side as the hero. So
Love that.
I don't know. I think I default to leaders a lot because
I like leaders.
like
love
Apogee's kind of tagline is leaders on purpose. And so I feel like I've just kind of been defaulting to leaders.
And I was going to start off with that. You've got a family tagline, leaders on purpose with purpose for a purpose.
Yep.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, we have a family plan that hangs on our refrigerator, and
Which is awesome.
It starts with our credo, our tagline. So it is be a leader on purpose, with purpose, for a purpose. So a lot of people can say like, yeah, I'm a leader. Well, what does that mean? Like why do you want to lead people?
How are you doing?
How are you doing it? Where do you want to lead? And it can be in different areas. Like right now I'm leading in fitness, but I'm soon to be leading in children's education, So just figuring out what is that why? Why are you here? What do you want to contribute? What do you want people to say about you when you are laying in your casket or whatever?
Yep.
Intentionally, being intentional
Yeah.
about this shit. It's
Yeah.
and again, I pride myself in a lot of the decisions I made younger. I just feel like I didn't make great decisions, and I'm not looking for like we're making the change. I'm not beating the dead horse, and I'm really not holding on to it. I just wish that I can get across to people. I have personal, like close friends that feel the same way as me, same way as Lindy, that they are sending their kids to a school system or to a person or to a place that their kids don't want to be and they don't want to send them. And they carry guilt, shame almost, because we know it's like we're not listening to God. We're not listening to our spirit. We're not listening to the guidance within our soul, almost like a renegade. We're going against our own beliefs for whatever the reasons are. Mm-hmm. And it has led me to a point where I have deep regret about it. And I know that others, I'm usually, when I feel something this strong, it's only a matter of time before I watch other people start to say the same things.
You're the early adopter.
I feel like I am.
Yeah, for sure.
And I know people are going to have guilt in this. And I want to encourage them to, which is why I was so excited to have you on, to talk about this other option and what does it look like and how are they going to make it in another way.
Yeah,
and I think people don't think they can do it.
Yeah. If home educating isn't an option for your family, letting people know that there are alternatives out there like Apogee, like Acton, you know. But, you know, you talked about it's going to be the capitalist entrepreneurs that are starting this. And as a result, you know, that does come with tuition. And I understand that not everybody can do that. You know, so one of the reasons why I was drawn to the Apogee affiliation for, you know, we had decided we're going to start a school, you know. I guess we hadn't decided. We had talked about it. I talked about it with you guys, you know. Just what caused me to first rip the Band-Aid off was Matt Boudreau and Tim Kennedy both put a single social media post up on their personal social media that said, we're launching up to 100 campuses next fall within the Apogee network. If you want in, here's the link, apply. And it literally came out, Lindy, I might tear up. So, no, just warning you. I saw that post 2 days after Cam came home from school one day and said, Mom, I wish you could be a guide because I want to spend all day with you.
Done, Cam. Done.
You know,
let's do this.
So I saw that post 2 days later and just couldn't stop thinking about it. Like, sat on it for 7 days and brought it up to Eric, and it's like, hey, I saw this post. And he's like, yeah, I saw it too. I thought about sending it to you.
Ruh-roh.
And he's like, I think you should do it. And so I did. Like, it was literally like a 9-day decision to like rip the Band-Aid, but because of one thing that Cam said.
That's what you gotta do.
But, you know, as I'm learning more about these, you know, so I had kind of a month-long application process, and I'm learning more about what they want to offer and build out with these education centers. And one of the things that I was like, the two things that I put in my application initially that I felt were missing from Cam's current educational experience were that commitment to health and fitness, and physical health being a precursor to mental health. And it's so important. And they just keep cutting out physical fitness and phys ed and recess to put more instructional time in. Yeah. So that was number one. Number two was that community feeling that we've talked about. Like, I want a community of families that are sharing the same core values.
Yep.
And those were the two things that they came back as saying. Like, they put out a video like, if you guys want to move on, we want to talk to you more. This is why we're building it. These are what we feel are missing from the schools that, you know, we were building previously. And so I was like, okay, yeah, this is great. Yeah. Now we keep going. And so the Apogee banner, umbrella, has two foundations. So they have the Apogee Strong Foundation, which is a private foundation where businesses can, you know, we can run campaigns for just Apogee in general. We can run campaigns just for Apogee Omaha if we want to. People can make, you know, businesses, corporations can make donations to that, and it'll be earmarked specifically for whatever campus they want to. But and then they have the Apogee Education Foundation, which is a public foundation. So that allows them to go out and try to receive federal grant money, state grant money, stuff like that to fund these campuses. Then the other thing that is amazing is they were like, okay, how can we build this endowment in this Apogee Strong Foundation? Yep. So the private one. So they went out and they took an existing credit card processing company and they bought it. And so it's called Apogee Pays. So think Stripe, Square, PayPal, all of those, right? So anytime you run a credit card, it has to run through this processing company, transaction company, right? Yep. So like at the gym, if we run a $100 charge, we see $97 of it, right? 3% essentially goes to the processing company, Stripe, Square, PayPal, whatever, right? You guys know this. So they are going to take that 3%, 1.5% has to go to
funding the business.
Yeah, funding the business, keeping the software up to date, you know, the infrastructure. But that other 1% that in the case of Stripe, PayPal, Square, all of those is going to pad the pockets of the board of directors and whatnot, you know. they're taking that 1.5% and it goes straight into the Apogee Strong Foundation. And so any business that has a point of sale system and runs credit card transactions can switch to Apogee Pays. They'll match the transaction fees that you're currently at. And it's like no change to you. So you're like, then that those transaction fees are helping to fund something that you believe in.
So the owners of the Apogee Strong network bought a point of sale system.
They bought a
processing system.
Yep, credit card transaction company.
With the intention of funding their other business with the profits.
Mm-hmm. So developing,
that's incredible.
Yeah, developing that, it all goes right into that foundation. And so we'll be able to use that foundation to scholarship kids, to...
Do they have projections on what they think that's going to yield, what kind of numbers that'll bring?
I'm sure they do, but
we don't know them.
Yeah. And it's like, they're very, like literally they sent us a screenshot of the balance of the Apogee Strong Foundation. And it was $24,000. He's like, every dollar that comes in goes out. He's like, I want to send $2,000 to 12 campuses, nominate who you think deserves them. And so he did.
These guys are brand new in this.
But Dro is not.
No.
Right?
No. How long has the Apogee network been up and running?
2020 is when they started
COVID.
that. Yep. So they started the Apogee Cedar Park School and then the Young Men's Mentorship Program. And so everything is just kind of built from there.
It's incredible. That's cool. What a cool business.
So if there's anybody out there that wants to fund Apogee Omaha and
Yeah.
help build out the endowment, like get in touch with me.
Get in touch.
I'll connect you to Apogee Pays.
Where can they connect with you real quick? We'll do that before we move to wrap this thing. Where can someone reach out to you if they're interested not only in helping with funding, fundraising, switching their system into Apogee Pays, or bringing their kids to you, to outsource their parenting to Nissa?
I'm gonna go a shorter day. You'll know exactly what's going on.
I was gonna say
right?
we didn't finish that either.
No, we're not.
Yeah, we didn't.
What do you mean?
The date. She started with the year.
We're not doing that. Where can they find you though?
So apogeeomaha.org is the website.
Okay.
Nissa at apogeeomaha.org is my email address.
Okay.
We're on socials. Yeah.
We'll find you.
Yeah.
Okay. Go on with your, and I have also another question about I have so many questions, obviously, about the rest of the typical day, but I have more questions about what you were talking about for my kids' involvement.
Right on.
Don't forget about that. Okay. Go ahead.
So we did how it's broken up into the sessions, right?
Which is awesome.
1 to 2 week breaks in between. Then let's go to what a week will look like. So a week will follow a 4+1 schedule. So Monday through Thursday will be kind of our typical school schedule day, and I'll go over that in a sec. The fifth day, that +1, is going to be Flex Fridays. So
I love it.
Yeah. Flex. Nah. So it'll be that Friday will be enrichments. So there'll be an AM session, a PM session, and we'll have real life experts coming in and leading 6 week, however long the session is, they'll lead some sort of enrichment program. Maybe it's car maintenance, maybe it's woodworking, maybe it's fly tying for fishing, maybe it's guitar, maybe it's jujitsu, maybe it's taekwondo, maybe it's cooking, maybe it's sewing, language.
And they'll do that whole session. So whatever 1 to 7, whatever session that is, it'll be another initiative for that time period.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And then, so that'll be Fridays. And then we'll also be able to open that Friday up to like home educating families that want to get some additional experiences for their kids. Some kind of real life experiences.
Okay.
Now, school day. It's going to start a little bit later.
How late?
Because kids need sleep.
Kids need sleep, and
parents need time.
It's not very fun for anybody to start the day stressed out. Hurry, right? So drop off, we're planning 8:45. Day starts around 9 o'clock. First thing that happens in the day is morning huddle. So they'll come together and they'll do 5 minutes of gratitude, whatever that is for each kid. Could be journaling, could be praying, could be reading the Bible, could be just sitting and thinking about things they're thankful for, but just setting kind of the day off on a good start. After that, each kid will have a running mate that they'll go with. So it'll be a younger kid paired with an older kid, and they'll set their goals for the day. So
A running mate.
what do you want to get accomplished in your core skills block? Because that's what the morning will be. So core skills block will be 1.5 to 2 hours where they're doing kind of that gamified, app-based, platform-based learning. So they are self-paced in that. But then the ability to show learning and see where these kids are at with those systems is amazing too. Like,
Pretty incredible.
yeah, there are some good, I'm learning that AI scares me, man, but I'm learning that I am not a chat GPT person. I haven't gone that far yet, but like
I am not a chat. That's hilarious.
That still creeps me out, but,
as it should.
but as far as assessing where a child is at and where they're kind of lagging behind and how hard do we, how much of this do we introduce them to at what rate, the platforms for education are pretty
AI
amazing.
is figuring that out fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine so.
So that'll be that. After core skills, they've been sitting for 1.5 hours, 2 hours. And when I say sitting, I don't mean at a desk, like in a position of comfort for them. If it's on a beanbag, if it's laying on the ground on their stomach on a rug or whatever that is. And I will say that is once they get into that upper elementary. So 8 and above is where they're going to have that screen time. The younger kids, it's going to be more experiential stuff. So stations around the room, learning how to pour liquids and learning how to scoop and learning how to do stuff like that and relating that to starting to count and introduction to numbers and letter sounds and stuff like that. So theirs is very much hands-on, not at a screen.
Yeah.
But again, you've been there 1.5, 2 hours. So let's get you up and get moving. And that'll be 30 minutes of dedicated physical fitness.
Let's go.
It's not dodgeball. It is
Heart racing.
dedicated, gamified calisthenics, CrossFit kids. So making fitness fun, but you're going to get out of breath.
What are the other schools doing in this time period? Same thing?
I don't, what do you mean?
The other Apogee
California.
Campuses?
Yeah, campuses.
So
campuses.
we can, a lot of our school days run basically the same. Like some people have their physical fitness after lunch, some people have it before.
What are they doing for physical fitness? Surely not the same thing that Nissa and Eric are doing.
Surely the same thing.
Really?
Yes, Jason Kalipa is working to program the physical fitness.
So you're going to have a program that's universal?
Well, not everybody, not necessarily. Remember, we're our own affiliates, so we can do whatever we, feel is best for our campus.
Sure.
They're raising the next CrossFit.
They're going to have little CrossFitters. Next thing you know, representing Apogee, the CrossFit Open, we've got the one to every age group we're podiumed.
But we've had talks as a network of affiliate owners. The Health Equals Wealth one, their project is for the kids is designing and building a ninja course.
Cool. Oh. That's fun.
So, we've talked about, do we actually somehow fund okay, this school has the funding and they put together this kick-ass ninja thing. So in the summer, do we do an Apogee families meetup at this campus and we can come camp or get Airbnbs or do whatever we want to do. And then it's like a ninja competition for the kids from different campuses coming together.
Cool.
So being able to manipulate your body in space and so the kids can carry their mom, fireman carry 50 feet if they need to. You know what I mean? Like functional fitness and getting out of breath and seeing that you can do hard things. And if that 30 minutes of getting out of breath physically through fitness is the hardest thing you do all day, it makes it so much easier to tackle everything else in life.
Right.
You know, and same thing goes for adults.
I was going to say,
I tell
feel
adults
that every day.
I tell adults that every day. Like, if this
know.
class, if this 60-minute CrossFit class is the hardest thing you did today, your life is pretty darn good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
like, let's
We're going to be okay,
we're
people.
gonna be all right.
Yeah, we
We're
have to tell
developing-
ourselves that every day when
We're
we go there.
developing some resilience here. So,
Okay, so after the 30 minutes of dedicated CrossFit, physical fitness, or not dodgeball,
not
actual physical training.
Yeah.
We're training children now.
gamified though. It's gonna
Yeah,
be fun.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. We need to gamify it more for us because I feel like it's not very fun.
Hey, Greg Glassman said men will die for points. Why do you think we keep score every
Yeah.
time?
Of course. That's right. I should get more. Yeah. Anyway. Okay, so after the physical fitness, then what?
Lunch.
Okay,
How does
so
that work?
we're still
Lunches have to be
9.
brought from home.
Okay.
At this point. Again, that just opens if we're providing food there, you know, health department has to come in and stuff like that.
Yep.
But it's a healthy campus. So there's going to be some guardrails on what, you know,
Oh, yeah.
and it's not going to be hard, like everything must be paleo and, you know, but
Sure.
it's going to be like, hey, we're not going to have added sugars. We're going to avoid artificial colors and flavors and artificial sweeteners. There's not going to be soda brought to school, but also providing education for the families because not everybody comes in with the education on what is a healthy
Not a
meal
lot of
and
people
how
know
do
what artificial sweetners are
right,
or
how to read a
the
nutrition.
red.
It's-
right.
yeah,
according-
because it's impossible.
Yeah, like how to read an ingredient list. You're like, hey, can I just text you an ingredient list and you
Yeah.
tell me if it's a great
Yay or
not?
nay? Just give me a
Yes or
thumbs
no.
up or not. Is this poison? Yeah, because how the heck do you know anymore?
Yeah.
There's so many ingredients to so many different things for someone who, for a child, no chance.
Yeah.
There's no chance. Our kids are doomed.
So we can't expect, you know, to just give these guardrails without providing education for the families on how to fall, you know what I mean? Like how to align with the guardrails.
Right.
Okay, after lunch.
After lunch, a little bit of drop everything and read. So let the food settle. And if you can't read yet, you're going to be either an older leader's going to be reading to you or you're going to be, you know, making your own story up in your head based on what the pictures are showing you.
Yep.
So 15 to 20 minutes of that. And then outside time, free play time outside. Doesn't matter. I mean, if the weather's dangerous, so if it's thundering and lightning, if a tornado is imminent, if the heat index is 130, if the wind chills are,
Nebraska.
But
Right.
if it's cold or if it's raining,
if it's cold or if it's raining or it's snowing, we're going outside.
if
Yeah.
it ain't raining, we ain't training.
So,
Got it.
you know, kids can keep extra clothes at school and we're going to be sending stuff home to get washed and
We'll be fine.
we will be
Yeah,
fine
we're
because
gonna
if the
live.
hardest thing that you did was spending 45 minutes outside in the rain today,
It's awesome.
life's pretty okay.
There is nothing like driving down, through a neighborhood in the rain and seeing a kid out playing basketball in the rain or kids out. It brings
Takes me back.
it.
Yeah.
Why don't parents why don't I force my kid to do that?
Well, you do force them out to go running. when
That's
they-
disciplinary. Yes, that's
No.
how I don't beat my
Rain
kids,
or
but I run
shine,
them. Yeah.
snow.
My kids are going to be little podium CrossFit athletes too, because anytime they get sideways, I'm like, just go, run, push ups, sit up, go do fitness. That's it. That's all I can
Squats,
do. Skip,
push-ups.
do something. Yeah, it warms my heart. It really does when I drive and I see kids playing in the rain, because it's like it's lost. I guess it's a generational thing.
Yeah.
But we were outside. I mean, I grew up in Florida, so it rains in the summer every single day for, short stints, if not all day. So if you wanted to just be outside, you were getting caught in the rain. So maybe it was, I don't know. How was it in the Midwest?
I grew up in Michigan.
In the rain?
It
Oh, yeah.
rained.
That
yeah.
was the best part, especially storms. All the neighbor kids.
I love that that's a part of your
we
school.
didn't have anything else.
Yeah.
Getting outside in non-sunshine weather.
Yeah.
That's important.
Fresh air is really, really good for you
Yeah.
in
Okay.
all different types of weather. So
What about after outside? Where are we going?
after outside time, we're coming back in for the afternoon huddle. And that's where they're going to set their intentions for their project. So their group-based project. So that theme that we talked about, that's what they work on in the afternoon.
And then what?
We do studio maintenance. So
Clean. Prep.
Yep. Clean prep, get things. So when you come in the next morning, everything's ready to go. Tables wiped down, floors are swept.
They call their their little learning space studio, or the whole place is studio?
I don't know. Is it important?
No,
Yeah.
just wondering. Okay. So clean, prep, do maintenance of the facility and their space,
Mm-hmm.
and then they're done.
And then they go home at 3:00.
How long is this day? 3:00. So 9 to 3.
Yep.
You think that's still a little long?
They get a lot of playtime.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
but
get a lot of physical activity, and we have to kind of arrange, a little bit around those people that where both parents do work or.
yep. You have full control over the length of the day. If you wanted to shorten it to 1 o'clock, could you?
That's where it gets tricky because of Nebraska law. And so it's going to be different at each
Oh,
campus.
That's driven
So
by state
there's,
laws.
yeah. So we're very lucky in Nebraska because we have the exempt school rule,
Yep.
right? So the ability to home educate or choose an alternative education for your child is pretty open. There's a lot of options there.
Easy. Mhm.
But there is some stipulations, like you're supposed to submit showing that you have a certain number of hours of instruction within the year and provide like how you are covering these 7 subjects. So that's kind of part of it as well.
What's the opposite? So Nebraska, we have this exemption.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that look like comparatively speaking to a state that doesn't have that exemption? Do you know?
So I believe all 50 states allow home education,
Okay.
but there are a lot of states that have a lot more regulations in what that needs to look like. A lot of them want you to provide basically supporting evidence that you're basically recreating school at home.
Yeah. Doesn't that defeat? That was my point.
Yeah.
Doesn't that defeat the whole purpose if there's guidelines like that?
Mm-hmm.
Surely it does. And I'm curious to know which states those are
and there's
in.
a lot of some of them will say the parents have to be the ones providing, like you couldn't hire a tutor to come and educate your child, whereas in Nebraska you can hire a tutor. It has to be like the primary caregiver parent is who is providing the instruction. There's rules around, like some states will require that they take the state standardized testing and show that they are staying up.
In Nebraska, you don't have to do that.
Mm-mm.
We can just have little dummies if we want.
I mean, you learn
I
more
mean,
day-to-days than you do at school, I swear.
Yeah.
No, but if we chose not to do that.
And just let a kid play on their iPad
Well,
all day
we
long.
are entrepreneurial, highly motivated, high achieving people. Like, we're not going to allow the whole reason you're on this show. The whole reason we have a show is because we hate that shit and we don't like it and we don't want to be a part of it. Not talking about us, but a parent who doesn't give a shit could easily just pull their children from school, submit a curriculum that's what they're going to do, wait on the approval, and then just have little dummies that don't know communication or anything but video games, right?
Yeah, but I feel like if that's going to be it's
They
a lot
would
of
just
paper.
send them to school.
Yeah, it's a lot of paperwork for that. It's a lot easier to
And then you don't
just
have the
drop your kid
babysitter.
off and
Yeah.
pick them up.
So nobody's going to go through that.
I-
Typically, yeah. All right.
I think
But they could.
they could.
There's very little oversight.
Correct.
I like that. The less
Same.
oversight, the better.
Same.
What other states are like that? Do you know?
I don't know. I've mostly just been diving into Nebraska
Yeah.
because that's where
Yeah,
we're
that's
at right
really-
now.
yeah.
And it takes a lot to open an education
That was my
center,
next
so
point.
I'm like,
This sounds like a
who's gonna
shitload of
focus
work.
on us right
Yeah.
now. No kidding.
This sounds like a shitload of work. How are you going to do this?
What do you mean? How am I going to do it? I'm going to do it.
You're just going to figure it out?
Fire, aim, ready. Here we go.
It's a lot
Are you
of
going to
work.
have
I
other
know.
teachers there?
So there are, like having this affiliation, there's a network of 50 of us that are all doing this at the same time. Some of us are like Eric and I, and we're starting from scratch and
Yep.
are just like, we're building what we want our son to go to. You know, that's
Boom.
purely why I'm doing it. But I want to share that with other families as well.
Yeah.
You know, but there are some who are like they have a private Montessori school that they currently run, and they are transitioning to an Apogee Academy.
So they're
Apogee
converting.
campus. Yep, there's some Actons that are converting. So like there's some Waldorf, you know, there are few different kind of student-centered, hero-centered, learner-centered schooling options out there. And so some of the people that are in the are transitioning into, that word sounds weird, but
Not that word, not that kind of transition.
No, they are becoming part of the Apogee network. And so having their experience and what they have learned as best practices and what they would change to make things better, like that's invaluable to have that network of people.
Of course.
So there's a lot of support there for us who have never done it before.
Holy crap. It's gonna be a lot of work.
Oh yeah.
Eric's, what's gonna be his involvement with this?
I'm excited, but I'm terrified.
That's okay. That's what we need. That's what we want. Excited but terrified.
Yeah.
Brave.
I believe
and
that's where you're. Yeah, that's where you
overcoming your
start
fears.
living.
Mm-hmm.
When you're excited but terrified, magic. That's when the good shit starts happening.
He's the numbers guy.
So he's gonna do like administrative.
I'm gonna do more like day-to-day administrative, like operations, developing the school, developing our staff, you know, meeting with families, interviewing families, bringing them in, showing them why we're doing what we're doing, that type of stuff. Ideally, our goal is to have at least 24 learners in the first year.
Whoa.
That's the goal. We'll see.
Let's go.
Like, I'm driving for it.
Okay.
So that is our goal. And if we do that, obviously, and then we get rent where we need it and all that fun stuff, the goal is to have a full-time guide for each of the 2 studios.
We call
So
them
each
guides.
Coach. Because that's what they are.
How many
they're coaching.
coaches per
Life coaches.
learners?
Basically, yeah. I mean, ideally, I'd like to have 12 in each, but I understand that I'm not going to move a kid that's not developmentally ready into the older one.
So one
to fill
coach
the
for
numbers,
12
right? You know what I mean?
learners.
So kind of the idea with learner-centered education is because they are driving their own education, you actually need less adults in the room.
Yeah.
We're told that.
Less is more. Let's go.
Yeah. You know, they're there to kind of come alongside the kid and say, you know,
Guide
what are you
them.
working on? Do you enjoy this? Are you good at this? What don't you enjoy? What are some things that we could do differently? And help like draw out what their passions are. Do you know the term ikigai?
No.
It's a Japanese term. It's like the intersection of what you're passionate about, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can make what you can make money doing. So my goal is for every learner, every leader that comes out of Apogee Omaha to have a good sense of what that ikigai is before they enter the real world.
Man, I love that.
This is going to be a cool program. How much does it cost per learner or hero child?
We do not have tuition set yet.
What do you think it's
in
going to cost?
stone.
Guess.
Somewhere between 8 and 9 per year, 8 and 9,000. So it's basically median for private education in the Omaha area.
How does the business look profitability wise? Is this going to be a profitable business that someone that isn't super passionate that doesn't have kids but is passionate about, you know, obviously the same things you would need to be passionate about to get in this business, but also I want to come in and compete against the public school system and make money doing it. Are the numbers good for this business?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, what do we do for public education
there's
when
no
it's not
price
working?
on-
It's just like let's throw more funding. And so like the rate per student in the public conveyor belt schooling model is astronomical,
Crazy.
way higher than it needs to be. And so,
$30,000 a head or something
yeah,
crazy.
like we're doing less is more. You know, we can bring it down super low, and
there's no.
but that doesn't mean that the quality of what they're receiving is lower.
I was going to say
It's probably higher.
yes.
Well, not probably. It's higher.
It's higher.
It's 100% higher.
There's no price tag on education.
So I again, I want to stress this. I know this is important to you. We're not dogging on the educators here. They are given a system that they have to adhere to, and rules and guidelines that they have to, whether they agree with it or not. How many educators have we had over the last years of our kids being in school that just look at us and they're like,
this is what we have
so
to do.
I have to do this. This is ridiculous. You know, they don't agree with what they're doing, but they won't do, or they won't make a change. We're not dogging them, but it's also not their job. It's not their job to be better at raising our children. That's our job as parents. So if we're like, oh, you're not doing good at raising my child, well, no shit. It's not your child. It's my child. I need to be better at that. And I think what you're doing with a community and this type of school will allow parents the opportunity. I don't know where they're going to find $8,000 to $9,000 a year in addition to all the tax money that they pay for the school system that they hate and don't send their kids to.
I know, but I'll say you don't start a CrossFit gym to get rich. And my husband's an Omaha firefighter. You pick what your priorities are, and our priorities are to our son's educational experience. So
take on a second job, Uber or DoorDash or something.
Found a way to you know, that's roughly what we pay for his education currently. So.
I will tell our audience, you know, I have no position because I did this with my kids, but I'm going to free myself of the guilt of sending my kids to a place to outsource my parenting. And I would encourage everyone else to do that too. You know, we can be the change that we want to see. Unfortunately, we did not get to talk about in depth, at least, what your thoughts are. We've got a little time. What are your? Do you want to talk about?
What are we talking about?
I want to talk about the state of the world.
Okay.
What do you think we are? We'll make it quick.
Ooh.
That's not a quick question.
We can make it quick.
2024 is about to get real wild.
I think it's if we have someone who is truly considering taking their child and handing them to our friend Nissa, I think it's fair that they know what Nissa believes where we are today with the state of the world. I would want to know. I mean, I do know.
Yeah.
But I would want to know who I'm handing my kids over. Don't ask me why for the last 10 years I didn't give a shit where I was handing my kids over to. I'm just kidding. I did. And I was very aware.
I think we are severely lacking in our world in personal accountability and personal responsibility. And I mean, that's on all fronts.
At every level.
We've talked a lot about outsourcing the raising of our children to other people, but I think it's everywhere. You know, people aren't willing to own up to their mistakes. They aren't willing to. Yeah, there's like, you know, I can't. This is. How do I articulate it? Like, everybody wants a participation trophy. You know, like. This is kind of a silly. You know, somebody sent me a text and they're like, do we get bonus points for integrity? And I'm like, why? And
What you talking about?
I'm like, I know you're making a joke right now. Like if it's said in jest, I know you're making a joke. I'm like, but I'm always coaching. Like, so why do you expect a gift for doing something that you is the right thing to do?
Right.
You know, like you should be doing those things.
Accountability.
We're in a world of hurt, Nissa.
Yeah.
If we don't fix this.
I know.
I think what you're doing is important, and these guys that are doing it are going to be the real heroes, man, because we're going to lose a whole generation of kids. And if we make it to the outcomes of the generations that are being developed right now, with zero accountability, as you mentioned. I don't even know. I run a business with, 100 full-time employees. I've got at any given moment, temporary and part-time employees, another 100 subcontractors. I mean, I have 200-300 people working at any time of any day. And the caliber of person that we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis with our customers, our employees, our subcontractors, it's scary. It's terrifying that some of these young kids are going to be our future leaders. And if this pattern continues in the direction it's headed on a downhill accountability cycle without change, I can't even imagine what kind of world we're going to be living in
20 years, 15, 20 years.
The kids that can't have a conversation.
So that's why we're building the kids that are going to be
the heroes.
Employing those other
Yeah. So do you want your kids to be employed or employ?
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically the question is, do you want little employees that are probably going to be shitty employees? Sorry for your kids that are going to be employers. They're going to have to deal with shitty employers or employees. Mm-hmm. I also fear the future of employers. Mm-hmm. I have no idea. Like, it's even me as a big visionary, I fancy myself as a visionary. I have the ability to kind of see, unfold actual visions and see problems and solve them with my brain along the way. I'd be like, okay, I could see that happening. But I can't even imagine what this generation of kids is going to lead in 20, 30, 40 years.
Is this what existential dread is?
Maybe. Yeah.
No, I'm like,
I don't know.
But I also don't, I'm not going to sit there in my dread. I'm going to.
We're going to do some shit about
I'm
it.
going to find a way or make one,
That's it.
So I'm building the school. This is me making a way.
This is huge. This is big time. Well, Nissa, there's no doubt in my mind you're going to succeed at this. There's no doubt in my mind you guys are going to change the world with this. I'm going to ask you one more question before we wrap this. It's a question that we ask all of our guests. I know you are a purpose-driven person. What is your purpose?
My son, Cam. He,
my son.
You know what? For a long time, I didn't know if I was going to have kids. And Eric and I were blessed to have Cam. And I can't think that it was anything like it's too coincidental. Like, we were like, yeah, we'll see what happens. And literally on our wedding night.
And it happened.
It happened.
Ding, ding, ding.
Boom. Right. We're done. But like the change that happened in me as a person once I became a mom, like the empathy that I developed, but then also on the flip side, just like the drive to not accept subpar anything. Like, I want to create the best opportunity for him possible.
And by doing so on your wedding night, you found your purpose. Mm-hmm. And then you are certainly serving and protecting your purpose, which is what we're trying to push here, because we have to develop this for the future of our country and the world. We have to do what you're doing.
I mean, I think it's purpose in general is a big thing that's lacking. That's, why people don't have self-responsibility, self-accountability, because they don't know, they don't have their why for existing. Yep.
And when they don't have it, they are wide open and extremely susceptible to just taking whatever someone else's purpose that is delivered to them in a package with a bow on it through Hollywood and our media and all of the other arms of propaganda that we have feeding us bullshit purposes. Mm-hmm. When it should be Cam, should be our kids. Like, that's what it all should be. I love that it was one word, and I love that you're serving it. I love that you're going to go for it. And please let us know if there's anything we can do. I'm proud of you. I'm excited for you. You're living a little bit. You're living my dream. Like, I should have been doing this with you, but I think you're better suited for it. I think this is your world. You're going to be awesome. You guys are going to kick ass and take names at it. And anything we can do to support you, we're on it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. To our listeners, tell them again real quick, where can they find you if they want to either give you money or give you their kids?
apogeeomaha.org.
And that is APOGEE.
Apogee?
Yep.
People might not know how to
That's
spell
good.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
apogeeomaha.org.
Yep. Personal email is Nissa, Nissa, at apogeeomaha.org. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook.
On all the socials.
And if you are physically looking for Nissa, please feel free to drop into Kinesis.
Yes, CrossFit Kinesis
She's
in Gretna,
sure,
Nebraska.
yeah, she's sure to find you there, or you're sure to find her there. So awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming, Nissa. We really appreciate it. Love you so much. And thanks for doing what you're doing in this fight for our children. We need you big
Yeah.
time.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. And as always, people, be sure to find your purpose, serve your purpose, and protect your purpose. Peace.